Hi, I'm Steve Andrews from OldTwoWorldDiscGolf.com and SkybreedDisc.com, and I want to talk about something else that really can help, particularly beginning players, but really any player, and that's about grip. If you have a grip that works for you and you throw with nose down, you're really getting good releases, then that's great. Don't change it. But if you don't have a grip that you like, or if you haven't really thought about how you're doing your grip, I'd like to show you mine and one option of how to do it, and then a couple of things to think about when you're taking your grip. Okay, first off, where to put the disc into your hand. You want to put it between these two fingers, right? So this is really what you're going to look for, is to put it between those two fingers, right? So that's the simplest thing, and now you've got your grip. But I want to talk about a few things here, which is that a lot of people will think that they have the disc a particular way and they won't, right? So you may think that you have the disc level, like on a forehand, and instead it's actually Anheuser, right? So if you're not sure how you're throwing it, if you haven't thought about it, you might be having it nose up without knowing. For example, if you want to put the disc here in this slot, which is, I think, how I take my grip, if you have the disc, if you think you're starting here and then slightly have it angled upwards, you can get it in that spot and still have it nose up, and that's a flight you don't want, right? So when I put it in there, I put it in here, and I actually angle it down a little bit, not quite parallel with that second finger, right? So once you do that, now you have a really good nose down grip that you can throw there, and every time you put it in, you can get that consistently. So when you put it in there, don't just, if you bring the disc in with slightly nose up, it's going to stay nose up even if you've taken your grip in the right spot. The second thing to think about when you're looking at your grip is where at you're going to have your grip pressure, right? If you put it in there and you say you have it nice and flat or even a little nose down, but if you start and bring your hand in pinky first, oftentimes what you'll see is, even if you start with it flat, when you bring it in pinky first, you end up taking the nose up, right? So be careful how you're going to wrap your hand around. Like if you're throwing a driver, this is just a leopard, but if you're throwing a driver, right, you have it slightly nose down, and you make sure to get that pinch point first. Helps to make sure that it stays nose down in its flight. So if you want to have so this is front-loaded grip or rear-loaded grip. Sometimes you want to have a little nose up if you're throwing a putter, but if you're throwing a driver, even if you start with it in a pretty good position, and if you hook these fingers here in a power grip first, you can end up kind of inadvertently rolling it up nose up, and you don't want to do that, right? So you get here, and if you want a mid grip, you start with those middle two fingers first to get it there. And if you're throwing a driver, get it in a good position with slightly nose down, and make sure that this pinch point is the first place where you hold it. So those are some ideas of how to get it and some things to watch out for, because if you're unthinkingly putting your disc in your hand here, you can end up having it nose up even though you're putting it in the right spot. So put it in the spot you want. Make sure, take a little time, particularly until you're used to it, to make sure that the nose is slightly down. If it's a driver, and you want to have that forward pinch push, that front-loaded grip, then have that grip. Make sure that that's what you have to keep it nice and down, rather than having it from the pinky rolling in. Okay? So those are just a few things to think about to make sure that you can get your grip right and get it repeatable every time. Thanks so much.